What we wanted to show you is an example of what you can expect to see in a workshop session. And here, what we have done is we've documented the workshop session using an R Markdown document, which is right here. And you can see where the cursor is. And I'm going to run the document. As you can see, it loads. And this is the documentation now of all the code that will be covered and all the concepts that will be covered in the workshop itself. And what I want to do, though, is begin with the end in mind and show you what you get at the end of this, because this is critical. In the end, we do risk analytics in order to interact with consumers of risk intelligence. We collect data, we analyze it, and then we produce it in a way that's consumable to a decision maker. Here is the end of this particular session where we are aggregating the risks that we have been assessing and measuring into a projected margin for this imaginary company that makes a new product. They're going IPO, and management wants to know what are the odds that the earnings in US millions of US dollars is going to be below 400 million. Okay, that's what they're after. This projection shows the density function, which is in blue, and a histogram of all the potential outcomes of margin given three risks that we're going to model up above. We can change the number of bins to more bins to make it look more dense, and we can fit the density a little better or a little bit more precisely and give better guidance and advice to boards and senior management with this. So without further ado, let's go to the top with that end in mind and see how we got there. Copulas are a statistical method by which we can combine risks of different types together, especially risks that are related to one another. And that is the most important subject of enterprise risk management. You can see how we go through the business of making copulas in this example. We give you the basic code here. We give you the libraries. We give you the assignments. We leave nothing to chance. We've done all the trial and error and taken it out of this so that you could practice the concepts. More importantly, we use different libraries, and we'll expose you to various libraries in each of the sessions to look at the data. Here we have three different risks. We have VAR1, VAR2, and VAR3, which are ultimately going to be revenue, expense, and margin, and show how they're related together in terms of scatter plots and correlations, but also what is the distribution of potential risk outcomes for each one of these. And this kind of a panel gives us all of that data. We're going to use a really important mathematical result. You don't need to know the math, you just need to know that it works, and it works quite well. That if we take a random variable that's correlated like the one we just saw, and we invert it, we bring it back, it actually makes it into uniform random numbers, which is going to be important for us. This will allow us to specify risks of any shape whatsoever. They could be peaked, they could be flat, they could have fat tails, thin tails, doesn't matter, gives us a lot of flexibility. So this is the intermediate step you would see, along with more R to make it happen. We also can show you how to do plots in 3D and so on to further look at the data. And suppose we have decided what the shapes of revenue risk and the other risk we're looking at here is expense risk, and then see what the result of those two risks are on margin. So in this panel up here is revenue, this panel here is expense, and the result is down here in going to be down here in margin. And then we have the various um, scatter plots to show how related these risks are. And here we go. Here's the final result: revenue, expense, and margin. And finally, once we have these results, we could look at what happens when you have high and low revenue numbers, high and low expense numbers, or ultimately we can just do a tabletop exercise with management using R as a tool, using this R markdown output in an HTML format or a PDF format to give management a good set of documentation that now will help make this process repeatable. And here we are with the end in sight, where we are now working with changing aspects of the company's projected margin. In this case, we're just looking at how to estimate the density. Hope this was helpful. Again, it's all going to be very hands-on. I will work with you, staff will work with you to actually show you how to code. And the coding is really just assigning variables. This is actually, I found this easier than Excel and much more controllable than Excel with the graphics that are just phenomenal. Again, you got good graphics, good interactivity. Management's only going to want more of this from you. Thank you.